Hello, everybody. How are you today? I hope that you are well in this pandemic world. I mentioned last time about what happened to me in a store in the north of this town, and basically I was refused service, and I said I was going to go back and speak to a senior store manager, and I went back last Saturday, and actually, as soon as I walked into the shop, he was right there. There's these freezers in front of you as you step through the door, and he went to get something off the shelf above the freezers, and so he saw me and this other person I was with step into the shop without a mask, and he didn't bat an eyelid. He just went about his business and carried on, and I thought, okay, I could tell straight away that things had changed, and so I went straight to the back of the store to see if I could speak to this manager, and I explained to him what happened to me the week before, and he basically took responsibility for it. He said it was down to him. He had given the instructions to staff members how to respond to non-mask wearers, and I think that basically he was given orders from the from wherever, his superiors, and obviously. Between the time I had been into the store and last Saturday, something had occurred where they realised that the way they were treating customers was not right. I only came to the realisation as well that really you are not required to show any kind of um, medical exemption. Well, there are no medical exemptions. You are not required to show any kind of exemption card. And the store didn't know that. I didn't know that. And so we're all a whole lot wiser. And yeah, lesson learned that really in certain situations it is best to go to gov.uk and read black and white what the situation, the rules and regulations are, because since last March, I didn't know, and the amount of times I've been stopped and asked to show a card. And strangely enough, I had noticed that sometimes when I said exempt straight away that I was left alone, whereas other times the situation just persisted. One time I was going on a coach to Hyde Park to a protest, and the coach driver he didn't want to let me on the bus. He did not want to let me go and sit down. I just went and sat myself down and thought, well, let's just see what happens. Take it from here. And then I think on that occasion he said, "You're not coming back. It's my bus." He tried to say that it was his own coach that he owned, and that he wouldn't let me on next time, and just holy palaver. Asked me what my medical condition was. People have become little Hitlers. This power has gone to their heads. I mean, what happened December, I'd say maybe, I don't know, a week or so after the lockdown ended, the house arrest, I'm going to try to stop saying lockdown, house arrest ended on the 2nd of December. I met with a buddy that we do leafleting in town and stuff, so it was cold. We'd been out for a while. Let's go into Wetherspoons for a drink. It's called Whitehouse. Our Wetherspoons is called Whitehouse. So we went and sat in the Whitehouse, and I got you pay for a mug. You've got to sit down at your table. You can't go to the bar like you used to. You have to sit down and wait. Somebody comes and serves you. And sometimes, when you speak to the waiter or waitress, they allow you to go to the bar and like pay for your order. Like, for example, my order was just a mug. You pay for a mug and then you take it to a machine. You can stay in a place all day and drink as many refills as you like once you've paid your 99 pence for this mug. So yeah, I was happy to pay my 99p and have a couple of hot chocolates, and I would have been out of the place. I got my mug, and where we sat, there's like just 3 little steps to a next level, and then you will say, I don't know, maximum about 3 meters away from you reach the top of those steps to walk to the drinks machine. So I reached the top of these steps, and straight away the security guard crossed my path, and he asked me, if I had a mask to put on. And I'm like, well, I'm exempt. And he just, okay, went off, went us to by the entrance of the place. So I turned around, I literally took a couple of small paces, and this waiter, another young person, I don't know, 18 or 20-year-old guy, came towards me, a whole stack of plates he was carrying, and he asked me, had I a mask? And I said, I've just been asked that. And he's like, well, have you got a mask? And I'm like, well, the security's just asked me that. Just literally, I don't know, 30 seconds ago, 20 seconds ago even. And he just persisted, like the two ladies in the shop. Have you got a mask? And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm not answering this guy. I've just told the security. So I took a step back and I said, look, you can see the security man over there at the door. Go and ask the security. Do you want me to go and call the security over? And he just kept on asking me, have you got a mask? And I said to him eventually, I said, you know what, I'm not having this conversation with you. Told you I've already spoken to security. And I waltzed off, went to the drinks machine, got my hot chocolate and sat down. And they're drinking my drink. And because of all these COVID rules and regulations in the pub, you've got like these plastic barriers to separate tables in certain areas. And I looked up, and behind this plastic barrier, there was the security, there was a young waiter, and the manager. So these three guys looking down at me and like pointing and everything. So I know obviously the waiter was just referring with the security that I had been asked and that I said, am I exempt and whatnot. So, these three guys were looking down at me, and I'm just like, yeah, yes, I have spoken to the security. And at that, the manager and the security came down and they said, well, the young man was just doing his job. And I said, well, fair enough. Yeah, he asked me, had I a mask? And I explained to him that literally, just seconds ago, I'd spoken to you and I wasn't going to answer that question again. And the manager and the security guard, they just kept on he was just doing his job. And I'm like, well, I know, I'm not disagreeing with that. But once I'd answered his question, that should have been the end of the matter. Once I'd explained to him that you or the security had just spoken to me, that should have been at the end of the matter. But the boy just went on and on and on. It wasn't as if I'd walked the far end. I mean, the Whitehouse in town is quite a big pub. And it wasn't as if I'd walked to the far end, and there'd been the time spell or whatnot. I literally just kind of turned around, took 2 paces, and I was asked the question again. And I wasn't having it. I wasn't having it. And I spoke to the manager and the security guard and said, listen, the customer's always right. That young man there, somebody should have a word with him. Yeah, that he shouldn't have, he just went on, and it must have been 5 times at least he asked me about a mask. And I don't think that, if I've said to, fair enough, it's his job to ask me, but if I explain to him the security's already asked me that question, he should have moved on. But he wasn't budging. He became a little Hitler. He was putting me under his power and authority. It was like I had to subject myself to him. That's what it felt like. And I wasn't going to do that. Young boy as well. Do you know what I mean? I'm a mature woman. Come on. Yeah, leave it. Go and put your dishes in the kitchen, because he had a big stack of dishes. He could have put them down and gone out to the security guard and kind of pointed me out and said, oh, did you ask her? And the security guard would have said yes. That would have been the end of the matter. But there was a big old row ensued because I felt like the security and the manager kind of really should have seen it from my perspective, but they were not willing. They just said he was doing his job, and that was the end of the matter. And a big old argument happened, and I didn't get my hot chocolate refill. The manager flung me out of the pub. I don't know if I'm banned. I don't think I'm permanently banned if it reopens. But yeah, there was a big old hoo-ha in the place. I said to the security, you know what? Sometimes people's job's so boring, they ain't got nothing better to do. than make a big issue over a flipping mask. And it's not that I'm knocking these people. Do you know what I mean? I've done every single job I've ever had in my whole life has been boring and I've hated it. So I'm not trying to put them down or anything. But, you know, this stopping customers in shops and bars and whatnot, I think it just gives people like a little power trip. They're on a little power trip. And especially the ones who were totally blinded to this pandemic, like the manager in the store. Like when I went back to complain about the two ladies who not allowed me to shop in the store the week before, we had a conversation, and I tried to show him something on my phone. The Office for National Statistics for England and Wales shows that there was no pandemic last year, and he didn't want to know. He didn't want to know. He's totally into there's a pandemic, and that's just the way it is. There's a great divide. There's them and us. There's a few kind of like in a grey area, and maybe potentially can wake up, but there just suddenly seems to be, like I said, this great divide, and yeah, the manager in the shop. I went back again after that time, and yeah, he was. He didn't ask. He didn't even ask me for a mask. Well, he knows my situation actually, so I don't suppose he would. But yeah, I'm offline now. Let me just try and think what I want to talk to you about. I wanted to talk about a video that I had put up about a few months ago now, before Christmas. I was outside a COVID-19 testing centre area of Luton Courtbury Park, and YouTube took that video down and gave me a warning. But I did go to the north of the town. There was there is a testing centre there as well, and I wanted to see how busy it was. And I wasn't having a great day that day, just feeling down as you do in the middle of winter and stuff. So yeah, I could see two guys come out of the testing centre as soon as I approached, and I tried to get in, feign my way in to use the toilet, and I wasn't allowed. You had to have an official document to say you're going in for a test, otherwise you weren't getting past security. But I could see through the door, and there was I think it was two Asian women in there, and one of the guys coming out of the place was an Asian man and a white guy, and I think that's relevant because I think the Asian community is particularly being put under pressure, like saying that the numbers are high because the way that many of them live in uh, larger groups in one house and stuff. So maybe they're falling sway to all of that BS. But yeah, it was. I caught the Asian guy because this white guy. He went off, and I spoke to him and said, "Have you had a test?" And because I was just feeling just a bit like, I don't know, just not great that day. I don't usually go up to complete strangers and call them a mug, but it just came out of my mouth without thinking. And I called this guy. I said, "You know what? You're a mug. Blah, 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 blah. You're perfectly fit and healthy. Why are you having this test for COVID-19?" And the way he responded to me, fair play to him. He listened, and I was actually quite surprised. It was an unusual situation. Like I said, I don't normally go up to complete strangers and call them a mug, not unless they've been, already been rude to me. But even then, I try not to kind of react in that kind of way as a Christian. But yeah, we ended up talking up outside the centre, and he's one of these people that's in that little bit of a grey zone. He's kind of clued up to what's going on. He knew about Bill Gates with a 666 patent on a virus. And I think I think the guy thought it was a computer virus, this Asian bloke that I was talking to. I'm like, no, mate, it's a literal virus that he's patented. And what has it got to do with Bill Gates? He's a computer guy. And, cut a long story short, this guy, he basically felt like there's a tide coming and there's nothing we can do to stop it. And so he was just kind of going with the flow. He's got families in Pakistan or wherever. So I want to be able to go and see my family and live my life. And I said, you know, you've got to really stop and think about this. They want nanotechnology in you. They want a nano chip in you. They will be able to tell when you have sex with your wife. You know, when you take a crap, they're going to be able to like read all this information about you. The man's face. Yeah, it didn't faze him at all. He was prepared to just lay down and accept all of this. And I said to him, do you know what, mate? You are going to get everything that you deserve. They're going to vaccinate you and your wife and your children, and you might not die a year, 6 months from now, or whenever down the line. You're going to be getting vaccinations twice a year. You want me to travel without a passport, and you do not know what they are going to be putting in your body and the long-term effects it has on you and your family. You could be dead a few years from now. I said, do you know what? You know this is evil and you're happy to dance with the devil. Don't be surprised when you turn around and you get bit. Yeah, that devil is going to turn around and it is going to bite you. And you know how this conversation finished? The man thanked me. Started with me calling him a mug and ended up with him thanking me. He just needed a little bit of a wake-up call. And yeah, he appreciated it. So maybe I was meant to speak to that man that particular day. Yeah, and we have had another COVID-19 test centre opened up right in the middle of town centre, opposite the Whitehouse. Yeah, and there's queues of, there's some, you know, it's not unusual to see a queue of people waiting to get tested. When the weather's nicer, I might go down outside and give out leaflets or try and talk to these people. But I mean, it's been so cold. It was been really, really cold and snowy sometimes. There was no great reopening last Saturday. I mean, it was chilly and the snow, there was a bit of heavy snowfall. It didn't settle on the ground, but I mean, there was big snowflakes coming down and whatnot. But yeah, nothing really happened in England. I got to be honest, I wasn't expecting it to, not this time of year. Maybe 3, 4, 5 months from now, try again. You know, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And yeah, maybe we can try a great reopening again. Respect to everybody in Italy and wherever else. There was some other country, they had a similar kind of success. But it just didn't happen in England. But yeah, plodding on. Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about this because I mentioned about this last week, and I left a bit of homework for those who've been following me on the Devil's Bible subject to look for 3 letters, a Y and 2 Zs. Nobody's commented that they found those letters, and I think that I'm going to be giving it away right now. If you look for something like that, yeah, turn those Zs on the side and you might be more likely to spot it. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for now. I just wanted to make a video short and sweet, and yeah, till next time. Take care. Bye-bye.